we find that a lot of homeowners go, of course, why isn't this the way that this happens, all the time?
All right, we're going to go through, or talk about the PAC process. There's a lot of builders out there. The PAC process is changing the industry, and obviously we're very proud of what we've created with the PAC process. But for builders out there that are, they may have done our PAC challenge, or they may be one of our members, or they're just sitting on the fence and they want to know more about it, how can builders explain the PAC process and the benefits of it and everything about it to homeowners?
It's a great question because, of course, the PAC process is where a builder is paid as a consultant by the homeowner to come on board the project as part of the pre-construction phase and work collaboratively with the designer or architect to provide input on cost and buildability. And so you have to be able to convince a homeowner that this provides value to them because they're ideally paying you a fee for that involvement over a period of time. So the first thing is really actually to start looking at what could the benefits be to the homeowner. Now, if you sit down as a builder and you think about all of the things that have gone wrong on projects when you've just come in at the point of quoting or creating a proposal for a project at a tender, competitively against other builders and then signing a contract, chances are you will have experienced just how broken that design bid build model is, and that you've always been the bearer of bad news by having to tell a potential client that they can't actually afford to build what they've designed, that they may have been working on a design for months and months, sometimes years, and that it's blown their budget, and you're the one that's having to break this news to them. So I think, identifying what you can see these benefits can be. So of course, you as the builder being involved during that pre-construction phase, you can help them avoid their design going over budget. You can help actually provide input on things like how the structure could be improved or made more efficient, how you can give ideas on materials that might save some money. If they're weighing up, overall design options, or they're weighing up choices around specific things, you can be providing input on how you see materials perform or whether design decisions are going to extend their budget more than they want to spend. There's lots of things that you can do that. Of course, there's also things that you can start to demonstrate that they need to take into account in terms of risk management around their site. So, for example, they might not be aware that because of where their site's located, that they've got risk issues around, say, flooding or around challenges with actually getting materials on site that are going to...
services. No.
Yeah, things like that can increase the time that it'll take to build, the cost of the build. All of that kind of stuff can be factored in. I mean, scaffolding is such a huge cost in projects. Yeah. So even looking at how you can provide input during the design phase where you could reduce how long scaffolding's needed, that can make a big cost saving, which would not even occur to a client, but can be a huge benefit in terms of your involvement. Where have you also seen other areas of benefit for homeowners as part of the PAC process?
There's too many to mention, but it's an incredible process that gets everything sorted out before you go to a contract, and it's definitely one of those things like you are adding incredible value to their project, and like builders out there are charging all types of different fees from $600 sort of right through to $15,000, $17,000 for the PAC process, and whatever the fee is you're charging, like my firm belief is that you are adding so much more than that figure in value to their project. And for our projects that we do, the figure that our clients pay us, we save them that figure 10 times during our PAC process. And the PAC process is really valuable, and one of the benefits I definitely see as a big one is at the end of the day, it's not up to us to try and control the design process or the engineering or any of those things. And it's not up to us to tell the client what's important to them and where they should spend their money. It's up to us during the PAC process to educate everybody on material costs. And you just touched on one with scaffolding there. Like as an example, we had a design that was getting towards the pointy end of what the client could afford. And the designer was really pushing for a steep roof, like a 35-degree pitched roof. And when we were sitting at the design meeting and it was continuing to go down this path, and the owner actually had another item in the project that they were sort of leaning more towards, if we can save some money somewhere we would actually prefer to do this. I was able to right then and there at that meeting say to them, well, look, 35 degrees, we're actually going to have to do the scaffolding twice. Like, it's actually got to go up for the fascia and gutter. Then, because it's so steep, we've got to get the scaffold company back. They've got to reassess all the platforms. They've got to get the handrail high because it's such a steep pitch. And on that size home, that was going to be a $10,000 or $12,000 extra exercise on the scaffolding. And it was about another 10 grand to do what they wanted to do. So it was being involved in those conversations. Like I said, I'm not there to say, hey, this is what you got to do. But the owner and the client were able to have a conversation then, or the designer and the client, about, look, well, so they basically asked me, what pitch do we need to go back to not have to have that extra double up on scaffolding? So I was able to talk to my roofer, find out what all the regulations were at the time. Ended up being 25 degrees. The designer did some modelling on it, and the clients were still stoked with it. And so they still got the home they wanted. The designer was still happy with the outcome, and they got to actually spend the extra 10 grand on something they saw value in. So the benefits are enormous. And you, as a builder, I think a lot of builders do struggle in understanding the value that they add to this process. And so because of that, they struggle to sell the process. But it's a lot of this is also coming back to the way that we as builders and the designers we work with are documenting all the information.
Yeah, well, I think that the thing to understand is that to get into a builder's workflow can take a lot of time. So homeowners don't necessarily understand that. Good builders are busy at the best of times, and so homeowners can get frustrated if they've gone the whole way through a design process, done all their documentation, got all their approvals, they're now sending it out to tender and they want to start construction as soon as possible. And then all of a sudden you as a builder say, I'm not available for 6 to 9 months, even longer. That's incredibly infuriating for them. So by doing the pack process, they can get into your pipeline, and then that actually means that they know when they're going to be starting and they can get that whole thing flowing through. When you start to look then at what does that mean for how you can start seeing how you can show homeowners this value, it really comes down to how you can educate them in a way that doesn't require you to have this conversation with them one-on-one. So that process of, all those things that we've just gone through of working out what are the actual benefits, then looking at what can you do to document this? What can you do to put it into marketing material? Can you create, a how-to guide of what the pack process would look like for working with you? Can you start looking at talking about it on your social media? We have pack process trained builders who are creating videos for their websites and for their social media that explain what the pack process looks like and how to work with them. I mean, homeowners are asking for this process by name now. So we know that homeowners out there want it and they want to find the builders that are delivering it. And so for them to be able to see builders talking about it on their website, we've had builders who put it on their website, say we do the pack process, or they hashtag their social media, and they're getting jobs from clients through using the pack process specifically because of that. So, it can be, you can use, if you're, lots of builders say, I could never do social media because I don't have anything to talk about, I can't do blog posts, anything like that. Talking about the pack process is a really great vehicle for you to start putting into your marketing material, and then if you're struggling with, actually talking about it, one really tangible way for homeowners to understand the value of this is to talk about case studies. So, for example, that case study you just went through is a prime example of where a homeowner would go, oh, wow, that didn't even occur to me that was possible. We've had... And
the designer, like the designer architect, they're not going to be aware of those sorts of things. So, given the homeowners examples of that. But the other thing, I guess, is a lot of homeowners want structure. And a lot of builders don't have structure. So like our pack process, our pack challenge, we actually have a full process around this. So that becomes a PDF document that you can actually show a client, like, this isn't just a name, like this is actually a system and a process that we can follow. And if we follow this, we can deliver you the best possible product we can for what you want to spend.
Yeah, and then clients know what they're going to be expecting, which then gives them a lot more confidence. They feel a lot more comfortable. Their anxiety lowers because they know what the next, several months, they've got a roadmap for the next several months of their life. And so they can then feel much more in hand, much more taken care of, and see that this process actually has meaning for them. And I think then, that then helps them see how that can be really beneficial for them. And when they start to understand through you showing them that process, and then through understanding those case studies of where things have gone wrong or you've been able to solve problems by being involved during pre-construction, we find that a lot of homeowners go, of course, why isn't this the way that this happens, all the time? And at the end of the day, in every other sector of the construction industry, except for single home residential, this happens. This process happens. The people who are constructing the projects, who are costing the projects, are sitting at the table during the design phase. It happens in public and commercial work, multi-res, developments. But
it's part of the developing process.
It is, but the single homeowner who's putting their own personal finances and mortgage on the line has not been getting the benefit of this process, and is almost being thrown to the wolves through this whole design, bid, build, under the perception that they think that competition actually drives the best outcome. This PAC process is such a better result. It creates much better relationships for everyone involved. And if you as a builder can really start to drill down, okay, where is this going to benefit the homeowner? Remember, everybody is listening through YFM. So this is something a coach once told me. YFM is what's in it for me. Everybody is always listening through YFM. So you've got to understand what is actually in it for the client, position all of the material that you put together from that point of view, and you'll be able to then explain to them really well why the PAC process can be so beneficial for their projects.
So there you go. Explain all that to your clients. Don't underestimate the value that you can actually add to the entire process, and get on board with the PAC process.